Don't invade his privacy. Do not go through his phone. Do not go through his wallet. Do not go through his dresser. Don't go through his car. I am a big stickler for relationship boundaries. Black woman, you have to respect a man's boundaries, and the man should respect your boundaries. I don't like snoopers and I don't like creepers, and most black men don't like snoopers and they don't like creepers either. Stay in your lane. Do not go through his things. Don't be sniffing his drawers to see if he has another woman's loosey-goosey. Don't be sniffing his underwear to see if he had another woman's loosey-goosey. Stay in your lane. Okay? Next up. Do not compete with his mother or his children. I have seen women try to compete with a man's mother and his daughter. You can't compete with them. That's his mother. He only gets one. Those are his children. One of the quickest ways to get kicked out of a man's life is to try to compete with his mother. Of course, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. But I'm talking to women right now. Don't compete with his mother. Don't compete with his children. It's not your place. If you think he got a dysfunctional relationship with the mother, if you think he's disrespecting you for the mother, if it's a non-negotiable, tell him it needs to be corrected. And if he doesn't correct it, step off. Leaving is an option. Y'all do know that. Because sometimes I think black women forget leaving the relationship is an option. So if you think that his daughter is running his life and that the daughter is being disrespectful to you and he don't want to check the daughter, then maybe it's time for you to check out the relationship. If the mother is being disrespectful to you and he don't want to check his mom, then maybe it's time for you to check out the relationship. Speaking of checking out. Speaking of checking out. Speaking of checking out, black woman, a relationship is not a house. A relationship is not a car. What am I saying? Don't stay in a relationship. Don't stay in a toxic relationship any longer because you've already been in it too long. I've been talking to a lot of black women, and when I ask them, why are you still with him? Because this doesn't sound like a situation that's conducive to your mental or spiritual health. And you know what so many black women are telling me? You know what so many of my relationship coach clients are telling? Dr. Umar, I've already been with him for 10 years. So I need to just hang in there and try to make it work. Dr. Umar, I'm not getting any younger. I'm 50 years old. I'm not getting no younger. I done already gave him 20 years. I've been with him from 30 to 50. Who gonna want me? I'm just gonna hang in here. There's nothing worse than a black woman whose self-confidence is so low that she chains herself to a dysfunctional relationship because she don't think she can do better. So many black women are chained to dysfunctional relationships because you don't think you can do better, number one. Or number two, you done already invested so much time, so much money, and so much coochie. You done already invested so much time, so much money, and so much coochie. You done already invested so much time, so much money, and so much Cinnabons and cupcakes and cookies that you like, I didn't put too much into this. Dr. Umar, I done spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this relationship. It'll hurt me to leave it. Well, guess what? It's going to hurt you more if you stay. You don't know how long God gave you to be on this earth. I don't care if you're 50 years old. What if you're supposed to live to 100? What are you going to live to 90? What if you're going to live to 80? You mean to tell me that the same dysfunctional relationship you've been in from 30 to 50, you willing to stay in it from 50 to 100 just because you put 20 years in? Are you kidding me? You are willing to sell happiness that short. You are literally willing to give up on ever finding happiness just because you put 10 years in, just because you put 20 years in. Damn that. I'm of the opinion that one day of happiness is worth more than 20 years of misery. One day of happiness is worth more than 20 years of misery. One day of happiness is worth more than 20 years of misery. Black woman, and you've heard me tell you sisters this before. Black woman, and you've heard me tell you sisters this before. The toughest relationship decision, the toughest decision you ever have to make in a relationship is when to stay and fight for it or when to quit and abandon it. The toughest relationship decision for man or woman. Do I stay and fight to make this relationship better? Or do I cut my losses and find something better? Do I stay in this relationship to make it better? Or do I cut my losses and find something better? That's the toughest decision to make. But I just want black women to understand this. The worst decision you can make is to stay in a relationship just because of time served. Let me ask you a question. If you got locked up and you had to go to jail for 20 years, if you got locked up for a crime you didn't commit and you had to go to jail for 20 years, and after you serve your 20 years in prison, the warden say, it's time for you to get up. It's time for you to get out. Would you turn around and tell the warden, I done already put 20 years in. I might as well stay for the rest of my life. Would you tell, wouldn't that be insane? What if you had somebody you cared about who had to do 20 years in prison? And when the 20 years came up for them to get out, they told the prison they done already put 20 years. I might as well stay in jail the rest of my life. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? It's ridiculous. But that's what a lot of black women do in relationships. A lot of black women feel if I put 20 years in, I might as well stay for the rest of my life. It's the worst decision she can make. But a lot of black women have chained themselves to dysfunctional relationships for the rest of their life. You better be careful.